Welcome to Indie Authors Tell All, where independent voices take the mic. This podcast is for those engaged in or interested in independent publishing, from writing to marketing and everything in between.
We're here to shine a light on real-world challenges and successes in independent publishing, straight from the people making it happen.
Every other week, we chat with Bay Area Independent Publishers Association members and industry professionals who are shaping the future of publishing and redefining what it means to go indie.
I'm Becky Parker-Geist.
I'm Judy M. Baker.
And I'm Mike Van Horn.
Real stories, real challenges, real inspiration. Now, let's dive into what it takes to write, publish, and market your book, one story at a time. Hi, I'm Becky Parker-Geist. I'm one of the hosts of Indie Authors Tell All. And today we have with us Nita Winter and Rob Badger, authors of Beauty and the Beast, California Wildflowers and Climate Change, which they're going to tell us more about and we're going to learn more about. So Nita and Rob, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a nice treat. We've been looking forward to this.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about the beginning of your publishing journey. What got you started down this path in the first place?
Starting in 1992, Nita and I had embarked on a 30-year journey photographing wildflowers on California's public lands. And in 2003, there was an amazing super bloom at the top of the hills between Los Angeles and Bakersfield in California. We photographed some of the most beautiful collections of expansive fields of different colored flowers that we had ever seen. Well, in 2008, Nita urged me many times to submit one of those images to the British Museum of Natural History's Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition. And I was kind of reluctant to do it, but Nita is always the person to, let's do this. So I submitted something, and 6 months later, we got this email saying that I had won the equivalent of second prize in my category, which was Wild Places. So we just decided, well, that's a big deal. Let's go to London and receive our award, meet a lot of other people doing this kind of work. And photographers want to show a body of their work. So instead of bringing a collection of, prints to show somebody, we decided we would work on a one-up blurb book, put together a collection of images, and then we'd have a book to hand people and say, this is what we've been doing over the past 16 years. And so that's what started the whole book.
And that book we actually called Impressions of Spring, A Voice for Wildflowers on Our Public Lands. That was a slightly different version of the one we ended up with.
Yeah.
Right. Was that the point? Was it when you put that together as a book collection, sort of a one-off? Was that the point where you started thinking, oh, hey, maybe we should actually turn this into a book for more than just us?
Yeah. Every photographer who's been published, I'm making this assumption, who's been creating a body of work over years would like to see her work or his work in a book format that you can pass around and hopefully sell and make some money to help you continue your work.
And Blurb was one of the first companies that put out quality photographs in a one-up book. And so it was really opened up the ability of photographers to start publishing their own books without having to invest in 500, 1,000, 2,000 books. And it was a great way for us to sort of test what the book would look like and what we'd want to do with the book. And So it was a great tool at the time.
Yeah.
So it all started with this one award that we were so grateful to receive because it was quite a prestigious award in the nature photographer world.
Yeah, that's great. And so then, so I'm curious how you found out about Blurb. So you had this sort of pursuit to create a way to create this one-off book. Was that just online research, or how did you find that?
It was actually through photography meeting.
Okay.
There was a meeting about that Blurb had sponsored, and so it was introduced to us with a group of photographers.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's a local company. I mean, they're based here in the Bay Area.
Yeah. And then when you moved on to when you decided, hey, let's get this out there for more people, tell us a little bit about that, like what those next steps were and decisions.
Nita?
Well, actually, what happened was we had been photographing throughout the West, and so we thought the book would be cover the West, and we used that book and showed it to the person who ran the gallery at the San Francisco Public Library, the Jewett Gallery, and she said, "Oh, I would love to have you do an exhibit, but make it California focused." And Rob had applied for nonprofit status with Beauty and the Beast, Wildflowers and Climate Change. So we had decided to keep that name and make it Beauty and the Beast, California Wildflowers and Climate Change.
Yeah, that was our wildflower conservation project.
Yeah.
And the intent was to show people the beauty of what's on our public lands and hopefully inspire some motivation to protect and expand the whole public land system and to help prevent species extinction and reduce the impact of climate change.
Yeah. And I know that further into this project, because I know where it is now, because I have a copy. In fact, maybe this is a good moment for you to hold up the book so that folks can see. It's a pretty sizable, heavy, beautiful.
5.5 pounds.
It's a beautiful book. And go ahead and just, if you would just open it up to one of the images. There is one, if you're listening to this podcast just in audio, then you should definitely check out the video because you're going to be able to see these beautiful images. There is one in their background as well. Beautiful. So that is just to give you a tiny, tiny little taste, but I have to tell you, in real life, holding that book on your lap and looking at it, it's so inspiring. So, but I know because of that that you have essays that are now included in that. Tell us about the decision making around adding essays, what your intention was, and how that's played out.
Yeah, that's a good question. Nita and I had been seeing lots of beautiful coffee table books for years with such inspiring work, and many of them had a conservation message behind them. And so I thought, well, instead of just having a book with just pretty flowers and pretty landscapes, what could we do to communicate our message about the urgent need to protect species and to promote more conservation and more awareness of climate change? And so I thought, well, we're not up to writing that task. I mean,
We're photographers, not not writers. We're good, but we're very slow.
And so I thought, well, what if we had a whole group of authors that had reputations for communicating their expertise in their own particular field of interest, whether it was climate change, whether it was the value of public lands, whether it was the evolution of California's beautiful plants. So Nita did a whole lot of work, and do you want to tell them about your efforts to find the authors?
Sure. We wanted to find a diverse group of authors, first of all. My work before Wildflowers was on celebrating human diversity and creating healthy communities. So diversity representation was very important to me. And it's also been an issue in the environmental world that there was enough voices, diverse group of voices. And we knew some people. Rob had done a number of projects, about 30 projects for the Trust for Public Lands. I had done a few people-oriented projects with them. And so we knew we wanted a story about the importance of public lands. So we contacted the Trust for Public Lands and ended up with an essay from the director at the time, Will Rogers, who wrote a wonderful story. And we also wanted people to relate to who was writing the story. So Rob came up with the idea of it being a personal story. So every story starts out with the person's connection to what they're writing about or their area of expertise.
Yeah.
I had heard Robin Wall Kimmerer, who many people know about from her book Braiding Sweetgrass.
Right.
Is a wonderful Native American author and botany professor and activist mother, and I approached her and said, "Will you write a story on what's in the naming of flowers?" And she wrote a wonderful story for us. So it was a matter of finding a variety of people to write stories that were not doom and gloom stories about climate change, because there was already a lot of that out there, but were stories that people could relate to and would inspire hope and action. And we also included 25 different things you can do to make a difference.
Yeah.
So that we didn't just leave people inspired and then they go, I still don't know what to do.
Right.
There were all these actions that they could do.
There were two goals with the book in the way it was presented. One was to get the people to see the great diversity of flowers and of, floral communities that are in our state. And the other was to get people to read the essays. So what I thought was, well, what if we pace the essays through the book? We give a selection of images and then short stories. The average short story was about 1,200 words.
Yeah, 1,200 or 1,800.
Yeah, 1,200 or 1,800. So it would be short enough and succinct enough that the person would want to read a short story, and then enough of a difference in subject matter that there wouldn't be any overlap in what was being covered. So you initially came up with how many authors?
We worked with over 22, 23 authors and ended up with 16 in the end. We had some well-known authors who we asked them to write about certain things, and they went off and wrote on what they wanted to write. We asked people for an outline so that we knew that they weren't wasting their time and they were writing what we wanted. And then some of the established authors said, "No, that's not the way I work." And then we get an essay about California deserts that starts out talking about the Egyptian deserts. And it was like, well, wait a minute. That's not what we asked for. And so it took us 3 years to put the book together.
And one of the reasons was, one of the main reasons was because it took so much time to get all the authors in line. Will Rogers, like Nita mentioned, who was the head of the Trust for Public Land, gave us his essay, his story in just a couple days.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. There was almost no editing that needed to be done. So
the authors took us almost a year and a half to get their final essay.
And I was the first and second editor. I was editor for the first drafts and the second drafts because I had to make sure that there wasn't the overlap like I talked about before.
Right.
And so that took an awful lot of time. Eventually, once I had done the first two edits of the drafts, we hired a real editor to complete the whole thing.
And if it wasn't for BAIPA, we would not have been able to put together the book that we put together in the time that we put it together, with a confidence that we wanted, and to get the result that we did, because we were not publishers, but BAIPA really helped us find all the pieces and learn about all the pieces to be able to pull it together.
Yeah, I had a pretty close photographer friend who worked with a publishing company. Do you remember who Ketchum worked with?
Aperture.
Oh, Aperture Press. And they had put out a lot of beautiful books. We thought, well, let's go with a publisher. And then we thought, well, we want control of the title. We want control of the content. We want control of the sequencing of the things. We want as much control as we could possibly get, because we had thought about this for so long. We had talked with people about this who encouraged our idea. And so the most logical way to proceed to publish was independent publishing.
That's one of the big reasons why people choose independent publishing, is to be able to retain those kinds of controls that you described. And I just wanted to say, I love when you were talking about diversity of authors and voices that are going to, that are part in terms of the essays, because it fits so perfectly with the diversity of wildlife, of the flowers that you have in the book. And also, like when reading, when you're talking about how they're placed and spaced through the book, I've found when reading it that it's like if there is an essay on one page with an image, a photograph on the opposite page, peripherally, I'm connected to that image even as I'm reading the text and digesting what they're saying. So it's beautifully laid out and beautifully created. And I remember the many years ago, as you were asking questions and sharing the experiences that you were having all along this journey of getting this book published. And it was exciting and inspiring to see, to watch your journey as you went through it. So do you recall what year it was that you joined BAIPA?
So our exhibit went up in 2018, I think.
Okay.
19, so it was before that.
Which
Several years.
The one at the library.
16.
It was 16?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
16. So it's been quite a while, and we're still going to BAIPA meetings and still learning.
Yeah. What would you say is, like, once you finally got it actually published, what would you say is one of the biggest benefits that you have been receiving from BAIPA going forward from that point? And the reason I ask this is, while you're thinking, is because sometimes people have the idea that they are going to get through to the point where they publish and then they're going to leave BAIPA, because they did it and it's done somehow. Has that been your experience, that it's like publish and then done?
Publishing is just the beginning. That's it. That's the easy part.
Yeah.
The rest is marketing, and especially because we were independent publishers. I forgot to mention we independently published. Our co-publisher was the California Native Plant Society, and I'd like to just go back to something while I think of it. You mentioned how beautifully you thought the book was laid out. Well, we owe that a lot to just an excellent book designer we had. The first book designer we had who had done coffee table books for some of the best photographers, nature photographers in the world, didn't work out well for us. It just wasn't a good match. So our local board member of the California Native Plant Society chapter was
Laura Lovett.
Laura Lovett was also the former head of book design for Chronicle Books in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And she really wanted to design the book.
And she did an excellent job. She took our concept and she just expanded it, enhanced it, and made the book what it is. So without Laura Lovett and her skill and, and all the time that she put into this, we wouldn't have had the 12-time award-winning book that we got. So you brought that up. I just wanted to make sure that we included that again, back to BAIPA.
Well, one thing I want to bring up that you had mentioned is the collaboration with the California Native Plant Society. This whole project was collaborative. It was collaborative with the authors. It was collaborative with different organizations. Also, the exhibit started to travel. So that was a collaboration with Exhibit Envoy. So again, we wouldn't have done the book that we did without the connections with all these different organizations that we were really grateful for.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
did
say
you,
that.
some people may wonder, oh, did you already have connections with all of these famous authors, or, did you already know them all? No.
No, it was
No, that was all Nita's work.
like with Robin Wall Kimmerer. I sent her an email and said I'd heard her speak at Pioneers. We're working on this book. Would you consider writing an essay for us?
Yeah.
And one of the things we did was over the years, we have been asked to donate our work. But everybody else is getting paid for different parts of a project. And we didn't want to do that to professional writers. So we offered money to the professional writers. And then we also got almost half of the essays donated because we had the head of Trust for Public Land. We had the director of the Scripps Oceanographic Institute who wrote about climate science. We had some of the more beginning writers that we gave a little less money to. So how we compensated our authors also varied depending on their talent and whether or not they had to survive on writing. And so that was something that was important to us. The book cost us $100,000 to put together. We had created a nonprofit aspect or nonprofit project with a fiscal sponsor that helped us. Between that and crowdfunding, we raised $70,000 of it. So that left us $30,000 to make up through book sales and then whatever we could get after that. So we printed 5,000 books and it was done overseas because the quality was incredibly important to us. And it actually took us 3 months to get the quality right. And it was once the printers, PSD Global, based here in San Rafael, told us, oh, we have this proprietary super saturated ink. We didn't think he wanted to use them because they'd be too saturated. And we went, no, that's what flowers.
Have you ever seen anything more saturated than a brilliant, scarlet flower? No.
And so once we got that press check sample, we went, oh my God, we got it.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. And so we wouldn't have gotten that on print on demand.
Yeah.
And that was the main reason that we went. Plus, print on demand's too expensive for that quality of a book.
Right.
Like BAIPA, it's over $100 per book. Even if we did a number of copies, it would still be a lot. We got it down to a little over $16 a book by doing it overseas.
Yeah. And for listeners who may be wondering, what are they talking about? Print on demand? What? I don't really, these are things that we learn about in BAIPA meetings. And once you're sort of you hang out with this crowd and you start to understand what these terms all mean and what it's all about, and how you can understand those decisions, how to make those decisions about when you know what's important to you in terms of the print, how to make the decisions that are going to bring that cost down and how you actually go about doing that. I wanted to highlight one other thing that you mentioned, Rob, and that is about the editing. So I wanted to bring it up because you said it wasn't that, like, the first editor, it just wasn't quite the right fit. And I think that's
That was the
important.
first designer.
Oh, the book designer.
The book designer, that's what it was. One of the things that we learn in BAIPA, I think, is that finding the right fit for the different members of your team on whatever your particular publishing project needs is so important. And there's not like a one person or company fits all, because it's so important how that fit is.
Yeah, that is really critical.
Right. And you don't know when you start out.
That's right.
We went through the process and it just wasn't a harmonious match. And
She wanted to design her book, not our book.
right.
Gotcha.
And so
And she had been doing that for years with all the photographers she worked with, so she felt competent. I don't think it was necessarily an ego thing. We were coming to a professional who we respected and heard a lot about. But to see some of our images cropped, severely just to fit in the format of the book, there are just multiple things that we decided we just didn't want to work together.
we did get the cover of the book from her, though.
Oh, right. And she gave us a cover that I would never, ever had thought of. And we went down to the California Native Plant Society convention
Their conference.
and presented different options for the cover of the book. I had my favorite. I think Nita had her favorite. Other people had their favorites. And the overwhelming majority of favorites was the book cover that she had presented, which was a real surprise.
So they were all book covers that she presented.
Yeah.
But this one was really different from the others. And we had thought we would just have a flower on the cover. And everybody really went for the landscapes over the flower. So marketing is a really important test marketing before you go and spend all the money on it is also a really critical part of publishing.
Absolutely. And there are more things I want to talk with you about, including the audio version of your book, your coffee table book. Let's just take a short pause and we'll come right back.
As an author, you know that writing a book is not easy, and that publishing and promoting it can be even harder. Wish you had fellow authors and professionals you could learn from, who would give you encouragement and guidance to get through the tough spots? That's what we offer at the Bay Area Independent Publishers Association, or BAIPA. We're a volunteer-run educational community dedicated to elevating the art and the business of independent publishing. Not in the San Francisco Bay Area? No worries. We have members from all over, and we meet monthly on Zoom. For just $10 a month, you get full membership benefits. Whether you're writing your next novel or children's book, launching a nonfiction book, building your author brand, or working with indie authors, BAIPA gives you the tools and the network to publish smarter, grow faster, and thrive independently. Visit BAIPA.org. That's BAIPA.org and join us today. Become part of a community that understands all the challenges of indie publishing and helps you get through them.
So, Nita, Rob, you have this gorgeous coffee table book. And for a lot of people, when they are thinking about what might be next or what other formats they might consider. When it comes to audio and a coffee table book, many folks wouldn't even consider that a possibility. But your upcoming image-described audiobook is not only an ambitious step forward in accessible publishing, but it's also, I think, it's a really unique approach. What motivated you to invest so deeply in this format? And what have you learned about translating a highly visual experience into one that can be seen through language and sound?
Well, interesting.
Okay. We have a friend, Rochelle Bernay, who helped us with our social media when the book first was published.
Can I just step in here for a second?
Sure.
By the way, the book came out 2 months before COVID.
Yeah.
So that definitely sort of changed our approach as to how we were promoting it and where it could be sold. And so we went online and started creating all these Zoom presentations.
Rochelle is legally blind. She has some vision, but she qualifies.
Very limited.
Yeah. So in our, frequent conversations back and forth, we had sent her the book, and I was describing one of the images in the book to her that might not have appeared really clearly for her vision. And when I get through making, trying to create an image in her mind, she said, I can actually see in my imagination what you're describing. I'm feeling my connection to where you are and what you're trying to photograph. And this is really a bit of a gift to me.
Because she was an avid hiker before and had lost also some issues with balance, etc. So she wasn't able to get out into nature like she used to be.
Oh, wow.
Therefore, what evolved was, well, if we can do this for Rochelle, is this possible that we can do for a lot of people who are visually impaired? And her feeding back to us that what I was describing actually resonated with her in her imagination, it, was the first encouragement that this might actually work. We had our first, test person that, had seen a lot of work, had seen a lot of photographers' work, because these were some of the people that she was working with. So her response was pretty much inspired. So you get an idea and you say, well, we can do this, and then you and then you have to go do it.
And I did some research, and there are 32 million adults in the US who are blind or visually impaired, and only 5 to 10% never had vision. So when you talk about a color, most visually impaired people can relate to a color.
Right, yeah.
Can relate to a shape.
Can relate to texture.
So that changed things in our minds a lot, that this was more doable and less of a challenge than we initially thought it might be.
Wow. And so was it that experience that sort of guided your decision to explore more accessibility? It seems like many publishers are really just early on it. Many publishers are early in that journey of like exploring how to make a project more accessible, but it seems like you've really made that core like central to your project. Was it that experience with Rochelle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, she responded that way, and
we tested it out also with Georgina.
Yeah.
And described another image where Rob's lying on the ground and taking a photograph. And she was up at the West Point Inn with us and a friend of hers who was sighted. And they both listened in and they both really enjoyed the description. So we knew it was something that we could write it in a way that would be well received by both sighted and non-sighted people, and it would allow those people to share an experience or to get a little more insight into what that experience is like for those who are not sighted.
Right, right. And is there anything that you are hoping that like other independent publishers will learn from your approach with this?
Well, we know that it's happening now with children's books. There are audio books that are describing the images.
Right.
They're fairly simple, and we have 190 images in the book. So there's a lot of images. And what we decided to do was to do in-depth descriptions, probably to 30 images, and really go into what was the weather, what was the experience for us, not only what did the photograph look like or the flower look like, but different characteristics of them. And then the other 160, we would do what's called enhanced alt text. Alt text is something that you find online that's sort of behind the scenes that says there's a woman in a red shirt with a blue skirt standing in front of a brick wall. Well, our description, an enhanced alt text, would go beyond that, but not all the way into the in-depth description. So there'd be a variety of what it would be. And we're so glad to know that Becky has offered to do the descriptions for us.
Yes, I'm excited to take that
which-
on. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add, so there'd be our descriptions and we'd talk a bit about the environment we were in, but then I don't know which one of us came up with the idea, well, what if we added a natural soundscape behind it so it would be an even more immersive, multi-layered experience for the listener. So, you would hear what that environment was like what birds were there. I mean, that's basically
What did the rustling of leaves
Right,
or the grasses or the wind, so that there was a variety of sound environments, what they call soundscapes, included as well.
and we haven't quite worked that one out yet, whether it would be a background to the narration or whether it would be a segment of that particular description that didn't include any narration. That's something we still need to work out.
With Becky and her crew.
Yeah, we'll
Becky's
talk more.
producing the book.
That's right. I got the inside scoop here. So with this project, as independent publishers, you've really blended art and science and advocacy while building partnerships with so many organizations and libraries, exhibits, other authors. What would you say have been the greatest advantages and maybe surprises of taking this independent publishing path?
Well, one of the surprises actually was how long it took. Working with a traditional publisher also takes a long time, and I was thinking, oh, we can do it faster. Wow, that was exactly true. But we also, as we said, ended up with the product that we wanted, that we were very proud of, and that we weren't on a deadline that the publisher gave us. And we were able to keep the stories that we wanted, and people told us that the stories are as strong as the photographs, which we were very glad to hear, since, when you're editing and putting it together, you're very close to it. You want to know that other people also feel the same way about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is how long it takes to sell 5,000 books.
And the audiobook is something that will help us
Right.
sell more of the books, but we did a lot of pop-ups.
And yeah, I mean, how many people at pop-ups you talk to and say make your little presentation when you first greet people over and over, how many people you need to be patient with to talk to until someone decides that that's something they want to spend some money on. So it's just, I mean, this was all new. There was no training for the in-person uh, presentation to someone to buy an individual book. And because we didn't have a publisher, all those things have to be done by us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And most publishers aren't doing it very well for authors unless you're a big name.
Right.
And so we did have an agent take our book to New York, but then she decided that we didn't have a national name. We weren't an international, nationally known photographer,
about that, right?
and so she didn't end up presenting it.
Yeah, we had all these awards that, validated us but so
Yeah.
right, you run into personalities.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary book. It's a little, I find it a little irritating when people take that approach of like, oh, well, you're not already established and therefore I'm not going to help you get established. It's like, what is that? This is devaluing those who haven't, gotten the marketing behind them or whatever. It's silly. But I would love for you to tell folks where they can get a copy of Beauty and the Beast. Where can they get that?
Our website is wildflowerbooks.com. It's wildflower singular, books plural. And the books are there. We also have merchandise that's based on the wildflower images, socks and T-shirts and sweatshirts and water bottles, etc.
Yeah.
And also on that site, under the video section, you can hear a sample description of the sacred datura, which is a really special wildflower. It's the largest one we photographed, and it has very interesting characteristics that it blooms at night, that we photographed it by moonlight. So all of that is described in there. So you can see the image for those who can see it. Otherwise, you can hear the image and how we describe it and how we look at an in-depth description.
Yeah,
of
that
the
was
flower.
that was the first one we actually did. I mean, we actually sat down and we write well, but we write at a snail's pace pretty much. And you have two people deciding what's going to be put on, and you have all well, I don't think it needs this. Yes, well, I really think it needs this. Well, I'm not sure. Well, let's do it. So
Collaborative writing's tricky.
you would have two collaborative people who both have strong opinions, and so that was quite a challenge to get that out. And we got good feedback from that. So, all these things take a level of confidence to keep going and keep asking for support. I mean, you just need to have faith that this is all going to work. I mean, we've done so many grant applications, spent so much time, and received so many refusals, and it's just this perseverance. But we believe in our project. I mean, we really believe so strongly in the value that it'll have to a lot of people who just can't see what we've seen.
Yeah.
Who can't have that joy, who might not feel those tears that you experience when you see something that's so beautiful that nature has created and is so vulnerable. So, it's like, what can we contribute from what we've seen and what we've learned to help other people have that appreciation? I mean, we want people to have that powerful aesthetic, emotional experience.
Yeah.
And once the audiobook is completed, it will go to the Braille and Talking Books library, and they will format it so that it's easily accessible and navigable by the visually impaired.
Yeah.
as well as getting it into libraries and sell it online and
Yeah.
and are doing talks. We're going to need to take our 27-year journey, the making of Beauty and the Beast, Wildflowers and Climate Change presentation that we've been giving over the last number of years and turn it into an accessible slideshow
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that we can give both virtually and live. And we just applied for a grant for here in Marin County to make that possible.
That's great. And I want to say, Rob, you mentioned that there are a lot of setbacks, a lot of challenges, a lot of roadblocks, all of that. But you also have had some really incredible successes along the way because of your persistence and your passion and your commitment. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
kudos.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the San Diego Natural History Museum created a large print version of our traveling exhibit. And we're talking with the California Academy of Sciences about creating a multi-sensory wildflower exhibit that we're excited about. And BAIPA offered us community, that we didn't feel like we were doing it alone. BAIPA has meetings once a month.
Yeah.
We used to love it when they were live, but we know that due to COVID, it went to
Zoom, and now we do twice a year. We do a hybrid meeting, so we do get to meet in person a couple times a year. And that was I was actually going to have my final question was going to be, what would you tell someone who's either considering joining BAIPA or what or hasn't yet, and what would you like them to know?
It's not a big investment for membership and time, and you get so much out of it. And there are experts in so many parts of publishing that and everybody wants to support each other. So there are people to ask questions, and no questions are stupid.
Right.
They're just, you don't know the answer to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a community that's very supportive, and we would highly recommend it. And at some point, I want to do a children's book about wildflowers. And so that's something else I need to learn a little more about, and that community will help.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when we do meet in person, the breakfasts are delicious.
Yeah, and you get to give hugs to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that personal connection, people that we've seen over the years and seen in Zoom and everything else. And, yeah, it's a really, really good community that's a lot of support, a lot of encouragement.
And that's where we met you, and we're really looking forward to finishing the audio book at some point.
Yep.
And we didn't mention that Peter Coyote, for those people who know him as an acclaimed actor and narrator, offered to narrate our book. So we had him narrating our voices and the male authors, and then we have a mentee of his doing the female voices. And in diversity, it was both ethnic diversity, age diversity. It ran from 22 to 82, but we also wanted male voices and female voices, to be heard. So we're very proud of it.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you again, Nita Winter, Rob Badger, authors of Beauty and the Beast, California Wildflowers and Climate Change. And you should definitely go to their website, get a copy of the book for yourself. I purchased several copies and gave them as gifts. I've gotten some of their merch, socks and such, and given those as gifts. And of course, have a copy of the book for myself as well. But that's wildflowerbooks.com. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Becky. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Good. All right. And for our listeners, please come back and join us on our next episode of Indie Authors Tell All. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Indie Authors Tell All, a podcast from the Bay Area Independent Publishers Association.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss our bi-weekly conversations with authors, publishers, and experts who keep indie publishing vibrant.
You can learn more and join our community at BAIPA.org. That's BAIPA.org. You don't have to live in the Bay Area to join us, since we're live on Zoom for all our events. You can email your questions and feedback to us at podcast@BAIPA.org. That's podcast@BAIPA.org. Thanks so much for joining us on the Indie Authors Tell All podcast.